People I talk to I think are surprised at how much information they're turning over, perhaps inadvertently.
Things like cell phones present really novel, unique problems for the law, not just the Fourth Amendment, for the law.
A lot of these agreements, you waive your rights without even knowing it.
A warrant is required to search a cell phone. The Fourth Amendment protects people of the United States from unreasonable searches and seizures of their persons, places, houses, and effects.
The one debate that or framing of the debate about cell phones that I really thought captured the essence of the difficulty that we're talking about, so this is kind of the negative side of the Constitution and the Fourth Amendment, is a cell phone more like what we call pocket trash, pocket litter, things that someone happens to have in their pocket traditionally? Or is it more like what has become known as a second brain?
The biggest concern is a cell phone, in my mind, almost has more information than what's in a house. Typically, if you look historically at the Fourth Amendment is specifically protected more than any other place is the house, person's house, because that is where a person has significant expectation of privacy. But if you look at someone's cell phone, literally it has someone's life in it. Not only does it have person's personal information, bank accounts, pictures, you literally could look at someone's life through a cell phone.
The Supreme Court has said in multiple cases that the touchstone of the Fourth Amendment is reasonableness. And that is the balancing of a person's privacy interest against a legitimate governmental interest. And only when a legitimate governmental interest outweighs an individual's privacy interest is a warrantless search permissible under the Constitution.
If it's more like someone's second brain, well, what document, what authority would be good enough to probe the inner workings of someone's brain or their second brain? It would have to be pretty comprehensive and specific and detailed. And that's why we have this battle of course you don't need a warrant to search someone's cell phone when it's seized in concert with their arrest or some other experience. On the other hand, of course you need a separate warrant before you can go start looking into that person's cell phone. It's got far too much information and power, and there's too many expectations of privacy in the information on the cell phone. It's encrypted, it's got passwords, it's all this sort of thing.
The issue is a search unreasonable? And a search is unreasonable when it violates someone's expectation of privacy. That test can be applied in many situations and has been applied in many situations, starting with someone's home, car, body, and I can't see why it can't be applied to cell phone and other social media devices. I think because technology typically far advances the law, that it would be difficult for Congress to do that. In other words, if Congress was to draft a law for cell phones today, with the new technology that would come in a year or two, the law could potentially be updated.
I'm not sure I have a great deal of confidence that Congress can write a really good law, and even if they could, I'm not sure that they could get that law passed because of the general difficulties and, some would say, ineffectiveness of the legislative branch of our government right now.
The court decided that searches of cell phones with very, very few exceptions that were not specified in that case should be based on probable cause and a warrant.
Well, I mean, typically when someone goes on the internet or someone signs an agreement for a credit card or these agreements, first of all, are multiple pages and they're small print, and most people don't read them. I suppose the people that draft these agreements presume you're going to read it, but in reality, they know you won't because you just want to get to where you need to get, and so people will just sign off. Either they're going on the internet and checking a box, or when they're getting an update on their phone, they just waive all sorts of rights, and it's sad, but that's the state of affairs.
Supreme Court will take this case and kind of reevaluate, does this reasonable expectation test, which is from the 60s and 70s, does this make sense in the internet-connected world where we all are turning over immense amounts of data to third parties?
All of the Google and Android and Samsung and Facebook and all the other exploitation of all of our information on phones is happening every day, silently.
Our bad actors in the world are using the dark web and other social media areas to conduct their nefarious activities.
Information is too pervasive, it's too personal, and it's too extensive.
Our privacy is not private.
Yes, it is a concern.
Perhaps inadvertently.
It's a difficult reality.
Someone's going to get hurt.
All of that suggests that maybe the courts aren't the best problem-solving tool, and maybe what we need to think of are ways to drive the rules when we don't have so much at stake.